All right, we are here with the
Got
final
my deodorant. Oh,
of Triumph, the Galapagos. Congratulations, ladies. At the very, very least, you have made it all the way through the game without being voted out. And within just a few days, I don't even think we've landed on a final time for it. You will get to plead your case to the jury to see which of you fabulous beauties are going to become the next winner of Triumph. But before we get there, we have one in my heart, very sentimental thing we have to do, rites of passage. So we are going to be going through the cast and we are going to be talking, sharing feelings, revealing an anecdote, or just flat out saying we don't love somebody through the entire cast. So I hope everybody is ready. Does anyone have anything they want to say before we get underway?
No.
All right. So what was it with this? Don't do what we did in season 4, which is forget that people have lives. Also, you may not want to drink because ours took almost 2 hours because two of us, not going to name names, decided to get a little overzealous, a little overjoyous, a little over inebriated while we were talking about people.
Ladies, if I did that.
Do not do what we did.
We're
All
gonna
right.
try to do it in like an hour and 15 minutes if that's okay with y'all.
I think Keisha was the one that she had somewhere to be at.
Right. I have like a 45-minute window here.
okay, so let's do this.
Perfect. My friend also says that's perfect.
Are you able to share your screen, Alex?
I'm trying to get to the point where I can. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Technology and Alex, it's always, always, always just the most fun. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, come on. You know what? Screw this. I'm gonna make you host.
Oh my goodness.
You're the host now. Have fun.
Hooray. All right. Share. All righty.
Oh, this is such a cute slideshow.
Thank you. I agree.
Did you?
Certain prod members gave it, it looks fine. And I was like, what does mean? I thought it was cute.
Full admission, that was me. Anyways.
I think it was Ollie.
Love you too, Brandon. Love you too. All right, ladies. We are going to get things kicked off with the first boot of the season, Mr. David.
I don't think we have much to say, or at least for me, because it was just very like, I guess that's the name. So I didn't really talk to him at all.
I talked to David and I honestly did not want David to be first boot. Oh my gosh, David was a lot of fun. And I was just so sad that David wasn't participating more in the challenge because I thought David was going to be a hoot to play with. When I talked to David, I knew that David wasn't talking to everybody else because like we talked about that. David was like, "Oh, I'm only really connecting with you." I'm like, "Oh, that's not a good thing. That's not good. It's not good."
I actually just remembered I didn't want David to go. And do you want to know who in my prod chat when they were like, "Well, who would you rather?" And I wanted it to be Davey because I had not had one message with Davey that entire round, but everybody was like, "David, David, David," and I was like, "Oh." I can't push Davey because I don't want to be that person. But like me and Davey had not had a conversation. I was like, oh, I guess it's David.
No, David was the right move just based on the competition and the way things went.
Yeah.
But in terms of personality, I was looking forward to like just getting to know David more and moving forward in the game with David. But definitely in terms of how the competition went, David was the right choice after like 2 days of us scrambling and doing everything and kind of not hearing from David as a group. That was kind of the downfall for David, unfortunately, but definitely someone who I was like looking forward to get to know in the game.
I never met him, so we can keep going.
Chris is like, we're gonna move on everybody for the first half.
The first half pre-merge.
No, there's one Chris Ann's gonna have something to say about third choice.
Or Chris Ann's gonna be like, who? Like every person pre-merge but one. All right.
Oh, Marco.
We have Marco.
I am not upset that he got voted out.
Okay, so Marco was gonna be my first boot because, and I don't know if it's true, but Rand had this whole story where it was like, Marco said I should be first boot. And I was like, I'm sure it's a joke because Marco definitely seemed like a jokester. So I still believe that that was a joke, right? But because Rayanne and I like kind of like connected, I was like, oh, well, if Marco thinks you should go, then Marco should go. Like, fine. Like early in the game, like it doesn't take much for me to be like, that can be the person because like we don't know each other that well. So I was like, great, Marco has the mark. Boom, X marks the spot. Like I was making all these jokes with Rayanne about it. And so like when like David didn't really participate in the competition, I was like, all right, I don't think we can go for Marco right now. I was like, I really think we gotta do David. Like that's just the right thing. Like we can like still deal with the Marco problem. And it was so funny because I kept calling it the Marco problem. So then when the next vote came around, Marco did like one semi thing that was semi messy, but not really. And I was like quick to jump on it. It was like, yes, Marco, we got to do Marco. And then Marco went berserk.
Well, Marco literally messaged me and he didn't perform in the memory challenge. And he literally messaged me and goes, can we like make it not a habit of losing? And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Because that's what it was. He was talking about our challenge and he was like all rude about it. So I forget if I told you or Matthew. And I was like, I don't like his comments. And so Marco needs to go. And then you guys ran with the name. And I was like, because I was like, that could be because everybody's like, nobody's saying a name. I was like, I'll say a name, Marco. Marco was rude.
Heard.
Marco, I do love you, by the way, but I had to have somebody that wasn't me. So, and you were like the one who like literally piped up in the wrong way, like literally was so minuscule, but like blown out of proportion on purpose.
Okay.
So yeah, poor Marco. Seemed like a good kid.
Chris, anything you want to add?
No,
No,
I'm
That's-
good.
she's
that's
got
I
That's gonna be the running joke for a lot of these. Sorry.
Not this next one.
yeah.
Moving right along, we've got our first cruise casualty.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm gonna let you take it away.
So Rachel. I wasn't even gonna vote you out. Rachel got on the chat. Okay, so Madeline came to me and was like, can you vote for Rachel? Because I know it's between me and Rachel. So I was like, okay, girl, whatever. Madeline was the first person who I spoke to. So I don't know what happened, but the running thing was that I was the one who said Rachel's name. The gag is I wasn't even going to vote for Rachel. I was planning on voting for Madeline. While I was sleeping, Rachel went on the tribe call with everyone and said, oh, we should all vote Chrisanne out because Chrisanne and Ricky are a duo and they played the Hive together. And that is where that whole me and Ricky are a duo thing originated. And I don't know. It just that encounter I had with her just it rubbed me the wrong way. And like I was fully planning on talking to Rachel like when the season was over, maybe we could figure things out, get to like a base level. But then I went on Facebook and I saw the memes on everyone's boot post and I was like, yeah, no. Yeah. But
I feel like it's never a good
I wanted to
policy
work with you,
to
Rachel.
be like, let's vote this person based on their connection to this other person, because then you're basically targeting two people inadvertently without knowing how both of those people are tied to other people. It just makes you the target. Like that is like without knowing those ties, like that is like not a great strategy when you're already in jeopardy, you know?
And then she went in the tribe chat and she was saying, oh, I know all the duos and I know all the trios. And then she started pairing people who absolutely were not working together whatsoever. And then she started saying, oh, Esme told me this. Adam said that you have everyone in a chokehold on the tribe, da 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 da. So it was just like, yeah, it was very.
My wallet.
Oh, why is someone calling? It was just. Shit, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, we can move on to the next person.
All right. Next up, we have Madeline.
I don't really have anything to say. Only that she seemed really, really sweet. But for our like situation and where we were, it just was not the right decision to keep her from my outlook.
Madeline was such a sweet girl. I I really liked her talking about going to school, living in her like first apartment and stuff. I gave her tips. Madeline was really cute. She was very sweet. But yeah, she just wasn't around as much as like some of the other people were. So
Mhm.
And Madeline didn't try at all to like save herself or like give an effort. Like I would have been open to like an effort. Not saying I definitely would have like kept Madeline, but there was no like conversation of like, let's work together, let's see what we can do. Like, cause you know, I feel like there's always a window of opportunity because like you can't always be working with everybody, right? In my opinion, in these games. And so you should always try to be like, okay, can I be someone that you can work with? Can I be a number for you? And Madeline didn't try it at all. And I tried to connect with her. Her parents are attorneys. So we talked about her parents. We talked about school. Like we talked about so much because she's from the Maryland area and I'm from Virginia. Like we talked about stuff, but nothing with the game. Nothing like, will you keep me? Hey, can I? So I was like, I definitely got the impression she was okay with leaving and just kind of settled to being on our tribe and being voted out and wasn't going to give a fight at all to stay. I appreciated though that Madeline gave 100% in the challenge. So I didn't feel like they like were like, oh, I'm out, so I'm not doing anything. Like Madeline for sure did their part in the challenge, and I 100% appreciated her for that. Even if like she didn't try to stay hard otherwise. So she seemed like a really nice person, but definitely seemed to have her attention elsewhere.
Mhm.
next.
We can move. Yeah, let's talk about this next person.
Oh,
Oh wait, did you have something to say, Morgan?
no. Go to the next.
Oh my god, the shade.
Okay. So I just want to say that I had a really good call with Mark and I really liked his personality. What's funny is me and my friend were supposed to go out and I got on an hour and a half call with Mark and my friend was pissed, the one that's here right now, and then we ended up voting him out and my friend was like, you did not cancel our plans to talk to this guy just to vote him out the next day. I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
But
Priorities, Morgan.
he was really, in my opinion, from first encounter, he was really cool. And then it just, his true colors just were like trickling.
I feel like that's kind of what happened with me. I feel like I tried to connect with Mark, same thing with Madeline, but Mark jumped in quickly more so about like connecting and saying he wanted to be here. So I was like, all right, we got us a gamer. And I'm like, okay, maybe. But then what got me was that everybody was talking about how Mark did that with them. So for me, that was like the first red flag of like, okay, if you really want to connect with me, great, but you're not really trying to be a number with me if you're doing the exact same thing and having the exact same conversation with everybody else. And that's kind of what I discovered. And so I was like, oh, so originally I thought Mark could stay, but now I'm like, Mark has to go. Let's find a way for Mark to go. And I made sure to do that because I was like, Mark, I don't trust you're a number for me anymore. You guys to go, babe. You guys to go. And love Mark. I did not realize that I actually knew Mark because he was on production briefly for my first game, but didn't stay for the actual game. But he was on it during the recruiting phase and did my interview for my first org. But like they were off camera. So like, and he wasn't the one doing the talking. So he was off camera in the background, never really talked. But he like remembered all this stuff about me, which also made me want to vote him out because I'm like, you know a lot about me, but I don't even remember meeting you, and I don't know you. That also sketches me out. And so I was just like, yeah, Mark, never mind. Sorry.
Kristen.
Well, Mark was a little messy boots, and you know it. So we had a majority alliance on Original Cruise. It was called The Cruise. So original. And Mark was part of it. Mark was in a very good position, but Mark leaked it to Adam, who leaked it to Madeline. So it just didn't make much sense. And apparently after like the first vote, Mark went to Hyrie, this is just word of mouth, and said, is it too soon to turn on the cruise, which is now the majority alliance, right? Mark was like kind of feeding a lot of information in terms of like Rachel and like that messy situation. And I think when the swap happened and Mark went to Darwin's and then we found out he was going to be on the other tribe afterwards, I think everyone kind of just had like a sigh of relief. Sorry, Mark. We all kind of had a sigh of relief. And I think Mark asked Esme if she could throw the challenge during that challenge where it was head to head. I think it was the memory challenge. And Esme was like, oh, get somebody else to do it. But yeah.
Oh Esme, I heard Esme was like, no, not happening.
So I don't know, Mark. It could have gone well. I guess you were, in some terms, swap screwed. So
no, Mark was self-screwed because Mark actually swapped and had a chance and then screwed themselves because they started going off in the chat, started doing all this stuff like before there was even a decision made. Like Mark had a chance and washed it down, like washed it away. So no, Mark definitely wasn't swap screwed.
Oh well.
Matt was probably swap screwed. Mark was not. Mark had a chance. Like majority of the I think tribe was ready to keep Mark up to a certain point, and then we realized it was not a good idea to keep Mark.
Okay.
Next.
We're good to move on.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Matthew.
I want to take a picture.
Matt. I loved Matt. I loved Matt so much. But he would always, at this point, Davy was still like not talking to me. And Matt like loved Davy and like never talked to Gabby. But then when with the whole Mark situation, it was like Mark was going to Davy and Matt about it. And I'm like, wait, Matt, you're saying that y'all don't talk, but so why are you the person that they're counting on right now? And he just like started, did you find him? Oh, perfect. He just started stuff like sneakily. So love him.
And totally Matt, again, same Morgan. Like Morgan and I were in an alliance with Matt and totally thought Matt was like on the level until I realized again the same thing. Everybody felt so well connected with Matt. Nobody wanted to say Matt's name, which was a little alarming. But then I was like, who is Matt closest to? But then when Matt didn't want to vote Davy, because like when we were when Mark was there, we were talking for a little bit that Davy should be the vote. Like if we're keeping Mark, somebody has to go. And so we were like, what about Davy? Matt was so anti that it definitely like hit alarm bells for me and Morgan. And then also I started talking to Gabby that next round, and Gabby was like talking about her conversations with Matthew. And I'm like, oh, did you just now start talking to Matthew? Like, you know, thinking it was like new or something because of the whole Mark thing, maybe that brought them together. She's like, no, I talk to him every day. Like we talk multiple times. And I'm like, hold the phone. This man has told us that he has not talked to you for like days.
Yeah,
and that's when we compared notes and realized all the lies he was telling.
Well, there were like things that we said in our conversation that he like that got back to us, and it's like the only way that information would be known is by him saying it.
Yeah, and it was like said in a different way. Like he definitely misconstrued it, but it was still like even that little bit wouldn't have gotten out unless it came from you, Matt.
Yeah.
It was totally like messy boots, but he was smooth messy. Like had we not caught that, Matt would have been lethal in this game. Like he was lethal, but like we got you, Matt. So sorry. So sorry.
I heard that you're hot, Matt. That's all.
No, Matt is hot. Matt is taken, but Matt is hot for sure. And I have to say, I had the best sports talk with Matt. Like we were like, I'm sure Prada's over us. Like we were sending each other clips of tennis because it was during the open. Like we would talk, like we just talk mad sports all the time. So like we really did talk all the time, but like there were times where we were like sitting there in our chat, like just giving feedback while watching the Open and then chatting about it. Like I had my Matt chat open like nonstop, which is why I felt like so close to Matt. But I was also like, you gotta be cut, because we might be talking good game, but right now you're being messy.
That there's a physical picture of Matt, and Chris Ann says, "I was told you were hot." Did everyone say their piece on Matt, or were we ready to move
We're
on?
good.
We're good.
Next.
Next up,
Megan was a sweetheart.
She's the sweetest.
However, she was too anxious for her own good. And I just feel like when somebody feels anxious or like already like feeling like they are on the bottom, it's not like a good situation. So sweet
It's like
girl.
self-proclaiming prophecy completely. Like I love Megan from her video. Like her video made me love her. She was wonderful. Prod made me sketched about Megan, not Megan herself, but Megan's, I mean, Morgan nailed it on the head. Like she was always so nervous that you just couldn't trust that Megan wouldn't mess up a plan because Megan's nervousness made her want to tell everybody else the plan to make sure the plan was okay. But you're like, Megan, those people don't know the plan. You can't tell everybody the plan if they don't know the plan, so you can go check and make sure the plan is true. Like
Me and
that
Keisha
doesn't work.
literally got in a chat just with Megan so we can make sure that she understood what was happening. Like, but like to know who and who not to talk to for
Like
the
literally. And then it was like so weird because it was like I talk to Megan all the time because I don't mind being up late at night and early in the morning because I have to get up early for work. So like I barely sleep anyway. But yet Megan told Ray, if it was true, I don't know, you know, you never remember if it was true, that she was sketch about me. I'm like, why are you sketch about me? I'm one of the few people still talk to you. But I'm like, fine, you can go because you're sketch about me. I'm like, Megan, girl, I'm the one who's not letting people vote you.
I'm good on Megan.
You seem nice.
She's so nice. Like I mean, when I tell you I love her, I was so happy to work with her on that puzzle. I was like, yeah, Megan, let's go. Let's do this.
This is cute.
We good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
fabulous. Moving on, we got our first juror coming up.
Oh no, here we go.
So, I really enjoyed my call with Adam, and he like had health issues that I've had, and I really got along with him. But I just feel like at that point when majority is majority, it's like you have to do it.
Adam,
Cool.
Adam Carson set you up. Adam was I loved Adam. I still love Adam. I loved their calls. I love our chats. I loved playing Sushi Go. Can you friend me back after this? Like seriously. But Adam went to Carson. This is before we got to the merge. And Adam told Carson about the Cruise Alliance from like all the information that Mark told Carson. What Adam didn't realize is that we got to Carson first. And Adam got on a call with me after he was talking to Carson and said to Carson, we need to work together to take out the rest of the cruises, is what Adam said to Carson. Adam got on a call with me and said, we need to take Carson out. So I was like, oh, baby, you just got caught in a lie. So that's what happened. It was just, we had briefly, Lex and I, the idea was briefly drafted of throwing a challenge so we could trim some fat. It didn't come true, thankfully, but that's basically where the Adam vote originated from.
Yeah, we heard about that because there was the idea floated to like have Adam work with us. That's what Carson actually wanted. Carson only went back to you guys and told because we pushed Adam and decided that I think a number of us like other people on Cruise that we wanted to work with over Adam. So then Carson was quick to be like, oh, I can will and deal the other way and make it work. Carson was ready to keep Adam and go against you guys with Adam as a force.
See,
And he was-
I don't. That's not my perception, because I liked Adam, and Carson was like, he's the only person here wanting me out. I was like,
well, that's after he found out that he said his name, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
wasn't his original. Like when we merged,
oh yeah.
that what Carson's plan was to work with Adam. We talked about it, and then I was like, "That's no go, boo," and there was reasons. I was like, mm-mm. And then it was like, I was like, by the way, your name is an option, this name is an option, and this is an option. I don't think you want to keep Adam. Yeah, he was hoping to go down with Adam, but then realized it wasn't going to work.
Oh well.
But as far as Adam, I enjoyed meeting his family. I enjoyed our conversation. I really appreciated that Adam was one of the first people from Cruise to reach out and talk to me. The issue with me and Adam was that I did learn a lot from Adam, but it wasn't good things. The things Adam told me didn't help me want to keep Adam in the game. But Adam wouldn't just say, I'm working with you and this is who I want us to go after. And I knew that Adam would probably say that to other people, but I'm like, okay, if we're going to do this, convince me that you're really trying to go after somebody from your squad, as opposed to tell me the people who you, like, he was telling me things about people to make them targets, no doubt. But he was also making targets of people like you, Chris-Ann, and Ricky for reasons that I didn't feel like were game reasons to make people targets. And so I'm like, I don't support that. So that's not going to work for me, because I'm like, you're not saying vote Chris-Ann, you're not saying vote Ricky, but you're making them a target. And so you're trying to like keep up the fluff. So for me, I was like, I can see how this is going to go back and forth with you and never be a thing. I can't work with people like that. Well, not that I can't, I will, but I don't want to work with somebody like that if I don't have to. So I was down for Adam leaving. But yeah, when they first reached out to me, I was like, well, I'll entertain this for sure. It just didn't work out because nothing they told me made it convincing me to want to work with them.
There we go.
Perfect.
Esme, she's so beautiful.
We love Esme. I always laughed with Esme. We always had the best calls. I think one call we were literally just like laughing for like 15 minutes straight. I don't remember what was said, but it was quite literally only laughs. My only qualm, Esme, is you told people about our alliance before our alliance could ever do anything. So, like, and I knew from like a couple days after you told them, the two of them came back to me and told me that you told them about it. And I was like, well, this sucks. And I held off on telling Danny for a while because I didn't know them that well. I didn't know what their reaction was going to be to the news. But from that time when, you know, Lex told me that you told him, and then Harry asked me, oh, do you guys have an alliance called Black Femme? I'm like, why the, can I curse? Am I allowed to curse?
It's your show.
You can curse.
I was like, why the fuck does Harry know my alliance name? Like, that's crazy. So from there, I was just like, nah. I cannot work like this. And then we got to the merge and you were telling people that Ricky and I, once again, this Ricky and me being a duo thing came back up. And then you're like, oh yeah, we need to target Ricky so we can help Chris-Ann out. But you didn't tell me that you were targeting Ricky to help me out. So yeah, I love you as like a person. As a player, you got on my nerves though.
No, Esme is another person who I connected with, was hoping to work with. It was funny that everybody's talking about Esme being messy and telling all the alliances. What I gathered was it seemed like from my little piecing together of what I was told before Esme was voted out was that Esme was telling Harry everything and Harry was telling everybody else, and they just spun it in a way as if Esme was telling everybody. But we'll only know the truth at the reunion. I'm really looking forward to know the truth. But that was what my interpretation was, because Esme sure didn't tell on the alliance that we made once our merge happened.
I knew about it.
And That's why Esme's gone. No. Period, Chris Ann. See, I love that Chris Ann don't run their mouth though. So you don't run your mouth. You don't go tell everybody. But I was like, why doesn't anybody know about this one if they know about everything else? But yeah, so see, there you go. You knew. But yeah, so Esme seemed nice, but I felt like they were probably like confiding in the wrong people. And yeah, that backfired for them, unfortunately. And you know, this is where they are. Wait, Chrisanne, who was in my
I don't have anything to really say.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't the alliance. We didn't form an alliance.
Oh, well, Lex told me that Esme wanted to do a thing, you, him, and her.
No, Lex wanted that, but that didn't happen.
Who? Poor Lex. We'll wait till we get there.
That wasn't my alliance with Esme because I didn't trust Lex. Lex wanted me to be in an alliance with a lot of people. I didn't do it. Go ahead, Morgan.
I don't really have much to add. I was like, didn't have a relationship too much, and in my eyes, it was like very nice on the call, but like very aware that they like let things slip, but was like, yeah, I guess I said this to this person, and I was just like, oh, like not for me, babes. Like, I don't need that. It's sad. But a super sweet person.
You know what was crazy?
Early on about the slip, I think, with your Black Femme group. Yeah.
Yeah, the person in my prod chat told me that Esme has they have played with Esme, and Liz, who's another one of my close friends, has played with Esme, but every time they play with Esme and they're aligned with Esme, they always get got. And she told me, don't work with Esme. She's really nice. She's hilarious. Avoid her.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, Esme, we love you. We love you, girl. So
no, I love Esme. This is my first time attempting to play a long game with Esme, although it didn't work because we were like together for a cycle. But I watched Esme play Padlock, and they were they first boot? They were first or second boot of Padlock. And I've known them to play a couple other orgs I didn't actually watch. I kind of just, you know how you like in the Facebook group, so you see like the updates.
Yeah.
So I saw the updates, but I didn't actually watch in the VL. But this was our first game to actually get to play together. So I was super excited to see how that would pan out. But like I said, it didn't really work out. So there was the attempt.
Cool beans. Anyone have anything else they want to add?
No.
Alrighty, we shall move on to Miss Ray.
My Ray.
Ray was done wrong. Carson better have apologized to Ray.
Ray was a bucket of sunshine. The music video, Ray gave amazing content. Always like just like a light on everything, just like very good energy, very like she knew how to talk, like how to express her thoughts. Like I love her so much, and I'm so looking forward to continuing to talk to her after the game. Like she is somebody who just like really could tell about the like very in tune to what you have to say and like learning about everybody personal level.
Yeah, Ray was a victim of the trio, as I like to call them, Carson, Lex, and Hyrie. They all said the exact same thing about Ray on the day they wanted to vote Ray out, which is why I knew Ray was going to be the vote without the leak. But it was also leaked because they were all saying the exact same thing all of a sudden. They had the exact same comments about Ray being in this alliance, about Ray, Morgan, and Davey being all so tight. And like literally because I wasn't as close to Lex and Hyrie, but when Carson was telling me about how Ray and Morgan were in all these alliances together and doing all this stuff together, I'm like, everything you're saying about Ray is the same justification about Morgan, but yet you're not saying anything about voting for Morgan, and we're supposed to be aligned with Morgan. Why would you walk around telling everybody this painting a target on someone that we're supposed to be aligned with inadvertently, even if you're not purposefully doing it, by saying they're doing the same things as the person you're legit trying to get voted out of that tribe. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I knew it was a mess. I knew they were just being messy and that he didn't tie that together and like tie it up in bow and realize what he was doing. But I was like, this is super messy and I'm not down for it. But there was nothing you could do when people want to be messy. And I'm like, you know, not going to stop that train, let them be messy. Because I knew it would catch up with them in the end. Because I'm like, y'all are doing too much.
I love Ray, and I'm just happy that it was not me that night.
I love Ray so much. Like, I love talking to Ray. We connected on so many things. We had such good conversations. I really appreciated and enjoyed talking to Ray. But I think what happened, it was like the Lex effect, where it's like, if Lex has his eyes on you as a target, he just has this way of like sinking his claws into that. And I think the thing that Lex would say about Ray is that a friend to all is a friend to none, because I think a lot of us were on a call and they were asking, oh, how do we feel about Ray? And everybody was like, oh my God, we love Ray so much. And then, yeah, it went downhill from there.
No, definitely. He said that multiple times. And I was like, I'm sure, whatever. I was like, that doesn't work for me, but you go with that if you need to. Ray is a peach, and they should both apologize to her for lying on her name and to everyone when it gets to that jury chat.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone good on Ray?
Yep.
We're good.
Excuse me. All righty. Next up we have excuse me, Mr. Ricky.
Poor Ricky. I don't have much to say. I really liked Ricky, but Ricky, I know Ricky wasn't ready to go. Oh, so sad.
Ricky is an absolute sweetheart, guys. He's like literally, Ricky just is his personality is very spicy. He's one of those people where you have to talk to him for a period of time for him to like, he's kind of like a flower, and the more you talk to him, like the more like his layers and his walls will come down, and the more he'll show you like his personality. This is one person in the game who loves Sushi Go more than I do. When we were back on the old tribe, our first and even our second tribe, me, Ricky, and Hyrie, we wouldn't be like, we had a chat. We wouldn't be like conspiring against people. We'd be on Sushi Go playing for just like hours. Ricky would be like, "Are we playing again? Rematch." Yes, we love you, Ricky.
So I love Ricky. I only had one call with him, and he was just like very cute and very nice, and not like I didn't think that he was being like sneaky at all ever. Like, I think he just like is like just a good vibes kind of person. So
oh no, yeah, Ricky and I talked a number of times, and I enjoyed it because we played against each other in that one challenge, so that kind of helped us connect. And again, I don't mind being the person who's up late with off time zones. But yeah, poor Ricky, they did him dirty. It was supposed to be Hyrie.
Well, speaking of Hyrie,
let's bring him on.
I was gonna say, if everyone's good on Ricky, we can always move on to Hyrie.
Y'all, this is my man. I love Hyrie so much. I know he's messy. I know he probably has that. I love Hyrie down. Like, I love Hyrie to bits.
No, I appreciated Hyrie because me and Hyrie we just gave it to each other straight. I love that Hyrie was like, I just don't know how to talk to you. And I'm like, I'm just gonna be direct, Hyrie. I'm harmless. Just talk to me. And so once I told Hyrie that, Hyrie talked to me, and it was just very real between us. I'm just like, but Hyrie, you're low on my totem pole. But Hyrie told me how messy they were, how they were. They were like, but I'm gonna try to play a better game this and be honest this game. And I was like, okay, Hyrie, but you've already done XYZ, babes. You've already done XYZ. Hyrie's like, Keisha, you're so direct. I just loved our conversations because like He just did not know how to take me because I was just like, babes though, but this though. But like love Ari, like, oh my God, like I fully enjoyed our conversations. Even though I was like, Harry's got to go, I enjoyed our conversations.
I just feel
Well said.
I have looked for Hungary and it's out. So this game was very much like talking about that game the entire time. Our conversations were only about the other game. And I just don't, for me, I just don't, I don't think that there would have been a longevity of a thing, unfortunately, just because like not only were we talking about it, but everybody like we talked about it with other people, so it was like the topic of conversation. So I think it's like one of those things where it just needed to be separated. Either he needed to be in the game by himself without me, or I needed to be in the game, whichever. So like the topic would just like drop off essentially.
Yeah. Next.
All right. Moving on. We have Danny.
They're such a sweetheart. This is mini Dawes for me. For those who don't know Dominic Dawes, like I saw Danny's opening intro and I was like, that's mini Dawes right there. My gymnastics duo, just powerhouse. And once I actually got to meet Danny, because I was like, please make merge, but who knew that nobody was getting voted off over there. The concern was when I could make merge to meet Danny. But love getting to meet Danny and talking to them. Most of our conversations were about human things and just life, but just such a precious, wonderful person. I wish we had time to talk more game and really connect about the game, but as a person, really enjoy them and really appreciate what they did contribute to the game, because that is one of the reasons why I think the three of us are here. In particular, Danny's contribution cannot go without being said in terms of what they did to help make sure that we are all here. And I'm so happy that I was able to talk to them and that they were able to rally in the way they did for the time that they did.
I think Morgan dropped off for a second, so Chrisanne, if you have anything to say?
Yeah, I really viewed Danny as like one of my little siblings. Like I wanted to work so badly with Danny, like so like further in this game, that like I wanted to propel Danny. I wanted to push Danny. I wanted us to be like two peas in a little pod. I wanted to be here at the end with Danny, but I guess I don't know. I guess it's an ongoing theme in this game of like either people like leaking or backstabbing, or just like I'm just gonna use it as like people seeing like a larger piece of candy and thinking that, you know, that piece of candy is gonna work better for them, but they end up getting a cavity. Instead, they should have just worked with the broccoli that was healthy for them, nutrients, all that jazz. But I loved Danny so much. I feel like we had like good conversations and we connected like very early on in the game, and I just wish that we were able to like work closely together. Yeah.
Morgan, I
Morgan.
know you just hopped back on. Do you have anything to say, or can we move on?
The only thing that I want to say about Danny is that I loved that they messaged the tribe chat. I don't know if that was already said, but I loved that. Like, it was just giving, like, I was like, oh no, not like I loved it in like but like that is like my biggest fear. So it's like, oh my gosh, no. And then they did a confessional and I was like, oh my god. Oh, that's the only thing.
If they did that on purpose at one point, like as a gameplay, I don't know.
Yeah, like it might have been. I don't know.
And I loved the two chats that were made. Like I love that energy.
I mean, it got us talking. It worked for something.
Yeah.
But we're good.
All right. I think the next two people you guys will have a lot to talk about. Up next is Carson.
Oh my God.
Who wanna go
Carson, and that
first?
look. That look.
The only thing that I will say about Carson is um I love him. And what the thing is kind of what y'all said about Esme, is when I have people coming to me giving me verbatim like alliance names, and these chats, alliances, and whatever, I'm like, I have not talked in these things since like the end of like the beginning of time. So for me, that's just a red flag. And in my first game, I got sniped by somebody I was really close with. And I feel like in this game, it was like Carson was good at making you feel like he had friction with others.
Yes.
Morgan, you and his damn phone.
I'm gonna throw her phone out that window.
Baby, we need to get you a new phone plan.
The
T-Mobile
upgrades,
gotta go.
the upgrades due, girl.
Immediately.
Can y'all hear me?
Now we
Now.
can.
Okay, I basically just said that I love Carson, but he, like, just like what y'all said about Esme, he like let everybody know about chats, and it was just like you didn't know whose side he was actually on.
Yeah.
Basically, is what I said.
And I'll go. I love Carson. Carson for me is like a little brother who I always want to see do well. But at the beginning of this game, I said Carson is gonna be messy and play the middle, and I'm gonna have to cut Carson at some point because I'm gonna be paranoid that Carson's gonna mess up my game because Carson will want to talk too much. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I've not played a real game with Carson before, but I've watched Carson play Havoc, the game where I was first booed. Carson played the next season, and Carson did wonderful. But I saw how Carson played. And then I saw Carson play another game and do very well, but also saw how Carson played. So I was just like, being an ally, Carson is dangerous because, baby, you will get cut because Carson will make you a target so that he's not the target. And I was just like, I don't want to be that person. So, like, immediately when people are like, oh, I know about this, I know about that, I'm like, Carson, I know it's you. Like, I believe it. There's no doubt in my mind that you are the one telling people. So, like, I would go to him first and be like, so and so says this. And he'd have a reason for why he told it. I just wanted to be open. I just wanted them to believe me. I'm like, no, that's not okay, Carson. And then he was like, throw the 5-on-5. And I'm like, this is right after the last round. Like, you told me a lie. Like, I don't trust you. No, I'm not throwing. So I love Carson down. Like, babes, love him up and down, left and right. Will always cheer for Carson, want Carson to do well. But it was time for Carson to go when it was time for Carson to go. Because I'm like, this is the point in the game where you are putting me in jeopardy. You're putting Morgan in jeopardy. You're putting Gabby in jeopardy, babes. Like, no, this is your time.
Carson. First of all, I think it's a collective that we all love you. Your personality is so amazing, and you just have this ability to like connect with people on what feels like a different level. Also, did I mention that? Wait,
Let her finish.
did I mention that you are a bad bitch? Carson is gorgeous, y'all, and I think I told him that one time. I think it was my attempt to like break the ice because this was after I had found out that Carson was targeting me this whole entire time, and the reason that Carson was targeting me is because I wouldn't leak any of my alliances to him that other people in the alliances had leaked, and in my head, I'm like, shouldn't that tell you that I'm a decent ally? I haven't leaked stuff that I'm doing with other people, but Carson saw it in a different way. I'm not mad that Carson went here. Actually, I think it was very good for me, at least. I don't know about anybody else. It was good for me that Carson left when he did. It was necessary, but also in the round before this in Danny's round and in the beginning of this round, Carson went on a deep dive downward spiral, and he was just saying anything to say anything that would stick at the wall. And he was just giving me a lot of information about like everybody else in the game. And I was like, okay, baby, do what you gotta do. Say what you gotta say.
I
Like,
mean, he tried that with us. Like he did that. I know with me. He did it with Gabby. I think he did it with Morgan. Like he was like, let's have an open session. Let's all give each other all the information we know about everyone. And I was like, babe, they're not doing that with you, but go ahead. Like I'll listen. And that's exactly what I did. I'm like, no, I'm not telling you stuff.
Yeah. I feel like also, like, oh my God, I got a brain fart. We love you, Carson, but you were just in that last round. You were a bit. Oh yes, this was what I was meant to say. Like, if Carson didn't spiral as much as he did in that last round, it probably would have saved him. If he would have like kept his mouth shut, I don't think he would have been the vote that round. To be honest.
Oh no. It had nothing to do with what he said at that point. At that point, he was the vote because he was already on the tips of our tongues as being the vote. He was possibly going to be the vote instead of Danny, but he was the vote because we put together that he wanted it to be one or the other. And you're not going to make me a target. You're trying to get rid of Gabby. And it was unclear if he also, on the side option that Gabby has an idol, make Morgan the person, because clearly you're going to get a vote on Morgan. That was not a good look for him, for people that he allegedly is aligned with, right? So it didn't matter that you guys also were doing it, but you're not aligned with these people. Well, you were aligned with Morgan, but you weren't allegedly fully aligned with these people. He had to go.
Yep.
Because he was doing it to everyone. So it wasn't like, oh, he said something. He didn't say anything that round, actually. So that's why he was completely off guard, because he hadn't said anything, except for that he would vote for Lex.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Messy Bessie.
He was just all over. It was like, who are you actually with? Because right now, it just looks like you're throwing everybody under, to everybody.
All right. If that's everything from y'all, we can move on to Lex.
Oh, for God's sake.
Messy Lex, who was the king of everybody in this game, of exaggerating, misinterpreting, assuming the wrong thing. And at some point, I decided to let him run with it and use it as part of the gameplay.
I mean, wait, should I go or should Morgan go?
You go.
Lex, I love you so much. You're literally such an amazing person. You are super duper passionate. You're a force to be reckoned with. And I loved every single like call that we got on, you and your little notebook. I loved all the tea you would give me unsolicited. I loved how we were able to like in 1 minute be all about game, and then in the next minute we be talking about the wildest shit ever. I absolutely love that. And for Triumph, I will be forever grateful for that relationship that I was able to build with Lex. However, you talk too much, Lex. Jeez. From the minute that Carson told me, because like Lex's birthday is on June 23rd. My birthday is on June 22nd. And we found this out, I think, in the first challenge. And he was like, it's signed, sealed, delivered. We're done. Like, that's it for us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, this works well, because Lex was a very formidable person in the tribe. He was very respected. He got a lot of information. I was like, this is perfect. I will just hide behind Lex and mind my business for the most part. Until Carson was like, oh yeah, your birthday is on June 22nd and Lex is on June 23rd. I'm like, Lexington. No one should be able to tell me that. That's not public, that's not information that you would like look up on Instagram, Facebook, nothing. That's not information anybody would be able to put together unless you told them. And from that moment that Carson came back and told me that, I was like, okay, Lex, when the time comes down to voting you out, I'm gonna 100% do it without hesitation. And like in that last round, Lex came to me and he said, are we going after each other? And I said, no, I'm not going after you. But this was like after Morgan had told me Lex already made a group chat with him and Davey, excluded me, and was very much so talking it up about how mad and upset I was about that last vote. And this was after Morgan had already informed me that Lex said, you know, Chris Ann can't get any further. She's a big threat, this, that, and the third. So with that being said, I agreed to not throwing Lex's name out because I didn't have to. The moment that he like already reneged on our deal or went back on our deal, that already sealed his fate, at least for me. So I love you, Lex. Hopefully we can play again and actually like fully with each other. So Morgan.
Okay, so yes. I got on a call with him. One of my first calls was us just clearing the air because I guess he knows people that I'm on production with, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I forgot what else we were like clearing the air on. Oh, I think it was me and Hyree's thing. And he's a really big personality and so fun and like genuine conversations, but on a game level, I like, and I've already said this, like him and Carson are very much similar. And I think they would downplay, or they would say that they're, yeah, like we're very much like against each other, but then it was like, oh, well, I talked to Carson, and then Carson's like, oh, I talked to Lex. And I'm like, for people who are like not on good terms, y'all are really like talking about a lot of strategy. And so I do think that like if the Carson Lex did not go out, like I think that was the end for my game personally. Because I do think they like are people who have their friends close but their enemies closer. And I think they were like trying to make me really close just to get me out. But I hope that Lex, when you're watching this, that you know that like I did have a really good time, but the notebook was just really scary. All the notes were a little too much for me.
I'm just gonna also add that I do love Lex, and I'm so happy I felt like this game ended so much better than our last game, where this was our reset. We wanted a redemption arc. This was our redemption arc because I sent Lex home in a triple in the game before, and yeah, I wasn't sure how this game was gonna go, but I was happy that we were able to build, I think, a good relationship this game and to have a positive relationship this game. That game was not positive. It was bad. It was ugly.
I'm gonna rudely cut in only because we've only got about 7 minutes left and we have 2 more people for all 3 of you to talk about.
We can do it. We can do it.
Have faith in us. So
All right. Next up is Davey.
For God's sake.
My Davey. Do you remember how I said that I wanted him to be the first boo? Davey, I think, had a slow start, but then once he got more active, he was a force to be reckoned with. And he very much showed that. And he has a great personality. I love his energy. I love his laughter. He was a really good player.
I enjoyed getting to know Davey over the course of the whole game. I think at the beginning of the game, Davey was holding off on the idea that, oh, people will just keep me around because they think I'm good at challenges and they won't vote me off. But there were so many times that Davey could have been the vote. And we just made conscious decisions for other reasons not to make Davey the vote. But Davey definitely didn't have control over that at all in terms of whether or not he was staying or going. And I think when he came into the merge, I feel like that was one of the reasons why Davey just wanted to have immunity all the time, right? Because Davey didn't need immunity all the time, but Davey, I felt like, didn't want to have that as an option, didn't want to be an option, and wanted to have immunity every round because of how things kind of played out on our tribe by itself. I really enjoyed getting to know Davey. Great person. very genuine, very, very genuine. And I love that about Davey the whole game. So genuine and so honest. Loved it.
So I feel like Davey and I, our last like conversation was a little like weird. It didn't really end on like a good note. And I just want to like let Davey know, like, I don't think, like, based off of our conversation, I don't think you're a bad person at all. Like, personally, I had nothing but good conversations with Davey. We connected, I think, fairly well from like a couple rounds before. I really enjoyed our conversations. I think at one point, I think it was after the Carson vote, I think I cursed Morgan out. And then I didn't curse Davey out to the extent that I cursed Morgan out, because I know Morgan personally and I knew I could probably get away with it. But I told Davey that, you know, it's nice to know where I stand with you. I'll like keep you at arm's length. And the blind side, I feel like, is something that like it had to happen. And after a while, like, I wasn't mad about it. I just wanted to know, like, why you didn't tell me, Davey? I'm pouring my heart out to you about how these people keep backstabbing me, and you turn around and you become one of those people. And then I don't know, I just felt as if I feel like the relationship that Davey and I had was interpreted different for both of us. I'm done. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just like, we got a little over 3.5 minutes to do one more person for all three of you, and I didn't want to cut anyone off. That being said, you each get about a minute, and then we got to close this out before the meeting ends.
Okay.
Go, Chris-Anne, you start.
Gabby, I love you so much. And I really enjoyed, even though we only connected at the last little bit of the game, I really enjoyed talking to you, connecting with you. I think you're an amazing person, and I can't wait to connect even more with you when we're out of the game. I love you so much. I hope you're doing well. Yes. Who's next?
Morgan.
Gabby, I love you so much. I'm so happy that I played with you since the beginning. You're such a great person. We're going to do an Orlando trip, hopefully at some point, maybe. And yeah, I like really enjoyed our conversations. So I think she's another person. This is the first game where I can be like, oh my gosh, this, like, so many actual friends, like relationships that have been formed in this game will be taken outside of the game, just because I think the final just words. Just a good person. A sweet person.
And I'll go. Gabby, love you to death. Really, really, really enjoyed playing this game with you. You were someone who I knew when we talked, we were talking straight, full, real, honest, just about everything. And I think I learned that about, I don't know if it was like a few days in. Obviously at first, I think we were both kind of like, are we really going to be aligned here? Are we really going to try to work together? It wasn't clear. But then we were telling each other openly about our games. And I know we didn't tell each other everything, but I felt like we were telling each other openly about most things, to where that's what helped us get to the end together. Because of that, you knew about things that were going on in one area of the tribe, and this was pre-merge and post-merge, and I knew about things going on in another area. And us pulling that knowledge together is what helped propel us forward. And even if people wanted to make us out as a duo, nobody tried to get us out as a duo, even though they did try to set us up. We used that to our advantage and still overcame that. And I just love you to pieces. Love that we got to work together in this game. And I wasn't sure how that would work out, but I'm so glad it worked out so well. Look forward to hopefully playing another game with you. And I'm sure we'll be a target at that point. But it was my pleasure to work with you and get to know you well. And yeah, it was great. And so sad that I had to actually say your name in a vote. That was sucky.
All right. And with that, Rites of Passage is over. We have one last slide. Congratulations, you three, aka our final three. Thank you so much for doing this. Rites of Passage. The next time you guys will be on call will be the final tribal council. get ready because I think you guys have until Monday. So you got the weekend to prepare.